John was 35 years old when he made the bold decision to leave everything familiar behind in Seattle. The bustling city, with its towering skyscrapers and relentless pace, had started to feel like a gilded cage. He was overwhelmed with the pressures of work and the monotony of his daily routine. Fridays blurred into Mondays, and his weekends were filled with a kind of hollow activities that left him feeling more detached than fulfilled. Deep down, he craved something different, a life infused with meaning, adventure, and connection to the world around him. The dream of retiring early, combined with a desire to work remotely and immerse himself in a new culture, seemed like the perfect escape. The Philippines caught his eye. With its stunning beaches, rich traditions, and a reputation for warm hospitality, it was a destination that promised both relaxation and an entirely new way of life. John envisioned days spent lounging on sun-kissed shores and nights filled with laughter and new friendships. However, the reality of planning such a drastic change loomed over him. He diligently researched visa requirements, housing options, and cultural nuances that could impact his move. Yet, as excited as he was about the possibilities, he couldn't shake off a nagging apprehension. Would this life truly fulfill him? Would he find the love and happiness he sought? Soon after arriving in Cebu, a vibrant city in the Philippines, the reality hit him hard. The initial thrill of being in a new country was quickly overshadowed by a series of challenges that would test his resolve. The barrier of language proved to be more formidable than he had anticipated. Although many locals spoke English, the nuances of Tagalog and regional dialects left him feeling isolated. Simple interactions turned into frustrating misunderstandings, and John often found himself at a loss even in commonplace situations, like ordering food or asking for directions. He soon realized how essential communication was to forge connections and build a new life. Financially, John had expected his budget to stretch further in a country known for its affordability. However, the reality of day-to-day expenses began to weigh heavily on him. The cost of living varied significantly, depending on lifestyle choices. The price of renting an apartment in a popular area seemed reasonable, until he accounted for utilities, groceries, and the occasional dining out experience. As he scrutinized his spending, John felt a gnawing anxiety creeping in. Was he prepared to navigate this new economic landscape, or had he miscalculated the practicality of his dream? On top of all that, the loneliness was palpable. The faces around him were unfamiliar, and the vibrant streets, filled with lively chatter, only amplified his solitude. John missed the company of old friends, the casual conversations over coffee, and the comfort of long-standing relationships. He found himself spending long evenings alone in his new apartment, scrolling through social media, feeling a sense of disconnect from his old life. It was then that he began to question his choices. Had he traded the comfort of familiarity for a mere fantasy? Would it be possible for him to find belonging in this kaleidoscopic culture? Reflecting on his journey so far, John realized he had romanticized the idea of a new life without fully considering the challenges he would face. This awakening sparked a resolve within him. He knew he had to adapt to the cultural realities, while staying true to his desire for connection and purpose. As he sat at a small cafe, sipping on his coffee and watching the world move around him, he pondered the potential of his situation. If he learned to embrace the discomfort and uncertainty, perhaps he could uncover opportunities he hadn't imagined. Could this be a pivotal moment, setting the stage for a profound transformation? Or would it be just another chapter in a story filled with unfulfilled dreams? By now, John understood that the journey ahead would not be easy, but the prospect of growth loomed enticingly before him. The path to adaptation might lead to enlightenment, friendship, and a sense of belonging he desperately craved. As he considered his next steps, he felt a flicker of hope igniting within him. Perhaps he was destined for more than just the ordinary, perhaps. This was a chance to rewrite his life's narrative in a land that sparkled with endless possibilities. Can change set one free, or does it chain them to new struggles? This was the question that lingered in his mind as he prepared to make the leap into the unknown. As days turned into weeks, John began to experience the reality of his bold decision. The vibrant streets of Cebu, filled with colorful jeepneys and the tantalizing aroma of street food, were initially overwhelming, yet they held a beauty he was beginning to appreciate. However, the joy of exploration was often tempered by the harsh light of experience. The challenges continued to mount, and with them, John felt the weight of solitude pressing down on him. Despite his resolve to adapt, the linguistic barrier remained a significant hurdle. Each morning, as he strolled through the local markets, he was met with a cacophony of unfamiliar words, lively exchanges, and laughter that felt like it belonged to an entirely different world. Simple phrases in Tagalog that might facilitate his daily interactions eluded him, leaving him in constant situations of confusion and frustration. He often found himself relying heavily on hand gestures and the occasional English word, which sometimes led to amusing yet awkward encounters. John found humor in his blunders, even as they reinforced his feelings of isolation. Would he ever truly grasp the language and fully connect with the locals? Financial worries persisted like an unwelcome guest. John meticulously tracked his spending, often fretting over whether his savings would last as long as he hoped. The price of essentials fluctuated, and he quickly learned that what seemed inexpensive could quickly add up. Dining out became an infrequent luxury, and he resorted to preparing meals at home often using ingredients he couldn't name in his fledgling Tagalog vocabulary. This frugality, while enlightening, was another stark reminder of the sacrifices he was making. The most difficult aspect of this new life, however, was the loneliness that refused to back down. With every passing week, the ache for familiar company grew stronger. Friends from home were just a video call away, yet the comfort of shared laughter and face-to-face conversation remained a distant memory. John began to wonder if he had made a grave mistake. Was he doomed to wander this beautiful country alone, forever outside the tight-knit circles he so desperately wished to be part of? It was during a local festival, characterized by colorful parades and enchanting music, that John encountered a critical turning point. Drawn by the excitement, he ventured out, eager to immerse himself in the festivities. As he navigated the bustling streets, he stumbled upon a booth where a group of locals were enthusiastically crafting traditional decorations. Intrigued, John approached them, attempting to express his admiration in both English and the few Tagalog phrases he had learned. Struggling for words, he felt vulnerable yet determined. To his surprise, the group welcomed him heartily, recognizing his earnest effort to connect. They invited him to join their crafting, teaching him easily forgotten phrases and laughter-filled stories about their culture. For the first time since arriving in the Philippines, John felt a glimmer of belonging. He could see the warmth in their eyes, and soon the feeling that he was merely an outsider began to fade. These new friends cheered him on, celebrating his attempts to master their language and traditions. In their camaraderie, he found the encouragement he needed to embrace his journey wholeheartedly. This newfound connection sparked a fire within John. With each laugh shared and each word learned, he began to shift his perspective, recognizing the importance of community. It was no longer just about adapting. It was about truly engaging with the culture and its people. Feeling a surge of creativity, he decided to explore the possibility of earning money while fostering these connections. He envisioned offering English lessons to locals eager to practice, a venture born from his own experiences and challenges. As the days turned into a routine rather than a series of hardships, John realized he was not just surviving but thriving. The friends he had made supported him through the ups and downs, offering both guidance and friendship. He began to teach English lessons in small groups, forging bonds that transcended mere language. What started as a way to alleviate financial pressure transformed into a beautiful exchange of cultures. In every lesson, he shared not just language, but stories, humor, and his own vulnerability. Looking back, John acknowledged that the initial attraction of the Philippines had always lay not only in its breathtaking landscapes, but also in the people who made it come alive. He learned to embrace the lessons born from discomfort and confusion, understanding that growth often resided just beyond the realm of his comfort zone. He pondered the question that had lingered since his arrival. Would he ever truly find a sense of belonging? Now, he felt more confident that the answer was yes. Every challenge he faced had led him to these friendships, these connections that were now vital threads in the fabric of his life. At that moment, surrounded by laughter, bright colors, and the sound of Filipino music, John felt a surge of gratitude wash over him. He had taken the leap into the unknown, stood at the precipice of his fears, and what emerged was not only resilience, but also a deeper understanding of himself and the world around him. With the future unfolding before him, he prepared to embrace whatever challenges still lay ahead, armed with the knowledge that he was not alone in this journey anymore. The question remained, what else would this new chapter bring? What other lessons would he learn, and how many more people would cross his path? Each day was filled with promise, and John was ready to dive deeper. As John continued to immerse himself in the rich tapestry of Filipino culture, he felt a palpable shift within himself. The initial trepidation that had accompanied his arrival began to morph into a quiet confidence. Each passing day brought new discovery-esque culinary delights that tantalized his taste buds, friendships that filled his heart, and experiences that broadened his understanding of life itself. However, amidst the joy of adaptation, fresh challenges loomed on the horizon, threatening to disrupt the delicate balance he had meticulously created. The language barrier, while less daunting than in his early weeks, still posed challenges. John found himself grappling with the dialectal nuances that varied from region to region. Some phrases that once seemed simple now revealed layers of meaning and context he had yet to grasp. There were moments during conversations when he felt lost, grappling with the rhythm and cadence of the language like a musician trying to keep time in a song he didn't know. These moments were frustrating, but they also ignited a fire within him to learn more, to become not just an observer of this culture, but a participant. Moreover, the financial strain he had initially felt began to shift as well, but not without effort. Thanks to his English lessons, his income had stabilized, allowing him to indulge in occasional treats, local delicacies he had been eager to try, outings with new friends, and small adventures that added color to his everyday life. Yet, he remained cautious. He knew that financial security was a precarious dance in a country where expenses often fluctuated. During moments of reflection, he often wondered, how long can I sustain this? Would unexpected events throw him off balance, leaving him scrambling once more? One afternoon, he found himself sitting in a local cafe, enjoying a refreshing Halo Halo, a traditional dessert made of crushed ice, sweet beans, and fruit. As he savored the explosion of flavors, he overheard a group conversing energetically in Tagalog at a nearby table. Though he couldn't understand every word, their laughter and animated expressions drew him in, igniting a sense of longing. The desire to dive deeper into their conversations gnawed at him. Could he ever reach a level of fluency where he could be part of such vibrant exchanges rather than a mere spectator? These thoughts lingered in his mind as he resolved to take his language learning seriously. He sought out local language classes and began attending meetups where conversation partners gathered to practice speaking. The initial discomfort of fumbling through dialogues transformed into a delightful challenge. With each faltering attempt, he grew more resilient, and the connections he forged during these sessions further anchored him within the community. It was during one of these language meetups that he met Lila, a spirited local with an infectious smile and an unwavering passion for her culture. They struck up a conversation that flows easily, both stumbling over words but supporting each other through the process. Lila offered to help him improve his Tagalog while he provided assistance with her English. Their exchanges turned into friendship, with shared laughter and stories serving as bridges between their two worlds. As their bond deepened, John began to spend time with Lila and her friends, partaking in local traditions and celebrations. He was invited to family gatherings that filled his heart with warmth. They welcomed him not just as a guest, but as part of their extended family. In these moments, he realized something profound. He was beginning to build a new home, one composed of relationships steeped in trust and mutual respect. He grew curious about their stories, listening as they shared tales of their upbringing, dreams, and the history of their ancestors. However, along with joyous integration came new challenges that tested John once again. The weight of cultural expectations was often palpable at gatherings. He couldn't help but feel the pressure to fit in smoothly, to understand all the subtleties and unspoken rules of Filipino social dynamics. There were instances when silence descended due to misunderstandings, moments when he felt he had overstepped or confused local customs with his American mindset. Did he truly belong, or was he merely an intruder presuming familiarity? These thoughts nudged at his consciousness, leading to sleepless nights where he weighed his position within this vibrant family. Lila often sensed his internal struggle, gently reminding him that learning and fitting in took time. "You're not expected to know everything," she told him one evening. "We all have our journeys, and yours is unique. Embrace it." Her kindness provided him with reassurance and the courage to be vulnerable in his quest for belonging. With each gathering that passed, he felt that his tentative steps toward integration began to find firm footing. Unexpectedly, these moments revealed not only his enthusiasm for the culture, but also a growing appreciation for the differences he initially struggled to embrace. The smiles, the shared meals, and the lively conversations became threads woven into his life's fabric, creating a rich tapestry of experiences that would shape him for years to come. As he continued to reflect on his journey, John recognized that the challenges he faced were not barriers, but stepping stones toward growth. He began to understand that every hurdle he encountered added depth to his character, reinforcing his resilience and determination. The question remained, however, would he continue to push through the inevitable obstacles that lay ahead? Could he maintain the progress he had made and fully embrace the life he envisioned? With renewed purpose, John decided he would not let doubts deter him. He embraced each day as an opportunity for discovery, both of the world around him and of the person he was becoming. As he gazed out at the sunset painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, he felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. This journey, despite its myriad of challenges, had led him to a place of possibility, connection, and profound growth. What surprises awaited him in this unpredictable but beautiful adventure? He was eager to find out. As the sun rose on another day in Cebu, John awoke with a sense of purpose that had become part of his new identity. The comfort of his routine was slowly solidifying into a rhythm that felt both familiar and exhilarating. With Lila by his side, his understanding of Filipino culture deepened, and he began to explore the intricacies of the island life beyond the bustling city. They ventured to nearby towns, embracing the local traditions, food, and rhythm of life, each outing enriching his experience in ways he had only dreamed of. One weekend, they decided to embark on a road trip to Moalboal, famous for its stunning beaches and vibrant marine life. The excitement in the air was palpable as they climbed into Lila's small but trusty car, her laughter mingling with the sound of the wind rushing through the open windows. The journey, punctuated by heartfelt conversations and spontaneous music, solidified their bond. John relished the freedom of the open road, the verdant landscapes whizzing by, and the anticipation of adventure that hung thick between them. Arriving in Moalboal, they were greeted by the azure waters of the ocean and the inviting embrace of white sand beaches. They spent their days submerged in the rich marine world, snorkeling among colorful fish and vibrant corals. Every splash of water, every burst of laughter echoed in John's mind as a gentle reminder of the joy he was now capable of feeling. His initial fear of being alone in a new world was fading, replaced instead by a profound sense of belonging. As he floated on the surface, looking down at the underwater chaos of life, he realized he was beginning to become part of something larger, a community, a culture, a home. One afternoon, while lounging at a beachside cafe, John watched as local fishermen returned with their daily catch. The sight sparked an idea. He had often heard stories about sustainable fishing practices that were central to Filipino culture, and he felt compelled to learn more. The fishermen, with their weathered faces and sun-kissed skin, worked with a camaraderie that spoke volumes about their bonds. Gathering his courage, John approached them, determined not to remain an observer but to engage. With the help of Lila, who acted as an interpreter, John initiated conversations filled with questions about their methods, challenges, and the impact of tourism on their livelihood. The fishermen welcomed him warmly, eager to share their knowledge, and he listened intently, absorbing their wisdom. Through their eyes, he witnessed the struggles of their craft, the unpredictability of the ocean, the concern for dwindling fish populations, and their efforts to balance tradition with modernity. The experience deepened his respect for the local community and ignited a passion within him to advocate for sustainability. As the days passed, John transformed his newfound enthusiasm into action. He collaborated with Lila and local NGOs to organize beach cleanups, advocating for the protection of their corrupt marine resources. The initiative began to gain traction, and John found himself linked with both locals and expats who shared his vision of preserving the beauty of Cebu. The process was not without its challenges. Communicating with local authorities, raising awareness, and garnering support proved to be daunting tasks, but with Lila's help, he navigated the complexities with determination. With greater engagement in the community came the risk of facing backlash. As he delved deeper into the local culture, he became acutely aware of the nuances that surrounded him. Some locals viewed his efforts with skepticism, seeing him as an outsider who might not fully grasp their way of life. The question loomed: was he truly equipped to advocate for change in a culture that was not his own? However, fortified by the connections he had cultivated, John tackled the doubts head-on. He embraced feedback from both supporters and critics, recognizing that genuine engagement required a willingness to learn, adapt, and sometimes pivot. His collaboration with Lila blossomed, evolving from simple friendship into a partnership founded on mutual respect and shared goals. Together, they educated others about the importance of preserving their stunning coastline and vibrant marine life. The beach cleanups gained momentum, turning into community events where children and families joined hands in beautifying their surroundings. John found immense joy in these collective efforts, witnessing the power of unity regardless of origin or background. They celebrated not only their achievements but also the conversations that emerged, understanding that engagement went beyond tasks. It was about building relationships. Yet, even amidst the vibrancy of their joint efforts, John found moments of introspection. He often asked himself if his presence truly made a difference, or if he was merely playing a role. Vulnerability cut through his facade, and the self-doubt nagged at him. He had left the comfort of his established life to embrace the chaos and beauty of the unknown. But at times, he wondered whether he had overstretched his reach. One evening, as he and Lila sat on the beach watching the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, he voiced his concerns. "Am I doing enough?" he asked, his voice barely rising above the gentle lapping of the waves. "Am I really helping? Or am I just an outsider trying to insert myself in a story that's not mine?" Lila turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "You're not an outsider, John. You're becoming part of our story. Your passion and willingness to learn show that you care. But remember, it's a journey. Change doesn't happen overnight, and it takes many voices, yours included." Her words lingered with him, echoing in the quiet of the night. With renewed clarity, John began to see the path before him as a co-creator rather than a savior. He recognized that his role was to amplify the voices already present in the community, to learn from their stories and intertwine them with his own burgeoning narrative. The next day, as he prepared for another beach cleanup, John felt invigorated. He greeted locals with warmth and openness, eager to listen to their insights while sharing his own experiences and ideas. It was in these moments that he realized the true essence of collaboration, not just advocating for change, but also embracing the balance of humility and empowerment. As he worked alongside his new friends, sweat mingling with laughter, he let go of the fear that had once clouded his journey, welcoming the realization that together they could achieve greatness. As weeks turned into months, John found himself woven into the very fabric of Cebu, not merely as an observer, but as an integral part of its community. Though challenges and doubts still surfaced, he embraced them with the knowledge that through storytelling, relationships, and shared goals, they could forge a path forward. The landscape before him was no longer filled with uncertainty, but illuminated by hope and possibility. What would the future hold for him in this new chapter of life? He was ready to find out. With each passing day, John felt more rooted in Cebu, establishing a sense of belonging he never anticipated. His work with the local community energized him, and the friendships he forged flourished. Lila was there every step of the way, standing next to him not just as a guide, but as a partner in their shared mission. They spent countless afternoons brainstorming ideas, organizing events, and collaborating with local schools to educate the youth about environmental sustainability. Their most ambitious project yet was to launch a community awareness campaign titled Protect Our Paradise. The initiative aimed to engage locals in understanding the benefits of conservation while also preserving their culture and traditions. They wanted to empower the community to see that protecting the environment was not merely an act of charity, but a vital aspect of preserving their identity and heritage. As they organized meetings, John felt both excitement and apprehension. The community's response varied. Some were eager to jump on board, while others viewed it with skepticism. Why should we listen to someone from another country? Some asked, echoing a sentiment he had feared but had prepared for. Listening to concerns was vital, and he made sure to validate their experiences while sharing his love for their home. To build trust, they held open forums, inviting everyone to share their thoughts and ideas. This approach fostered an environment of collaboration, allowing John to learn from local perspectives. He realized that he needed to adapt his language and approach to resonate with the community, emphasizing that he was there to listen first and contribute second. One evening, while preparing for one of these forums, John found himself revisiting his own motivations. He thought about his journey, the leap of faith he had taken to leave behind the mundane for the extraordinary. Was it selfish to pursue this growth at the expense of others? He had sought adventure and discovery, but as he grew closer to the community, he realized that true richness lay not only in personal exploration, but also in collective flourishing. It was a reminder that they were co-authors of a shared narrative, and the power of that collaboration was what would drive their success. As the campaign kicked off, excitement rippled through the community. They organized workshops, cleanup drives, and events that celebrated Cebu's vibrant culture. Throughout October, local artists collaborated with students to create murals, depicting the beauty of nature interwoven with elements of Filipino folklore. John found joy in witnessing children paint whimsical scenes that told stories of their history, love for the ocean, and the importance of preserving their environment. Each brushstroke connected them to their roots while planting seeds of awareness for the future. However, the climate of cooperation occasionally shifted. One chilly November morning, during a cleanup event at a popular beach, John overheard a heated discussion among a group of older fishermen. Concerned, he approached, curious about the source of their frustration. It turned out that some locals were aware of illegal fishing practices occurring in their waters, threatening both their livelihood and the marine environment. John listened carefully, feeling the gravity of their concerns. He realized that addressing this issue wasn't just about environmental awareness. It was deeply personal and affected the community's survival. Instead of jumping in with solutions, he asked questions that encouraged dialogue. He wanted to understand their perspectives and connect with their lived experiences better. What had changed? How had these practices affected them? The fishermen shared stories filled with frustration and despair how overfishing had depleted their waters, taking with it not just fish but the core of their identity. These conversations were a wake-up call for John, reinforcing the complexity of sustainable advocacy. It wasn't merely about educating others, it was about facilitating a space where their voices could rise, discuss their fears, and strategize together. That evening, after meeting with Lila, John proposed a new direction for their campaign. Rather than solely focusing on environmental education, they needed to address community issues more comprehensively. The focus shifted toward a holistic approach, one that recognized economic hardship, cultural ties, and environmental sustainability as intricately linked. They began collaborating with local leaders to create a forum focused on sustainable fishing practices, ensuring that the needs of both fishermen and the ecosystems were integral to their discussions. As the forum unfolded, local fishermen, environmentalists, and policymakers gathered, each perspective adding depth to the conversation. John marveled at the exchange of ideas how collaboration might cultivate solutions. They explored topics like creating sustainable fishing zones, establishing community regulations, and seeking governmental support to help mitigate the impact of illegal fishing activities. One of the older fishermen, Jose, stood up to share his experience. His rough hands, weathered like the boats he spoke of, recounted tales of his father's fishing wisdom passed down through generations. "We have to protect our ocean for our children," he declared passionately. It was a pivotal moment. The room erupted in applause, and John felt a wave of inspiration wash over him. He knew then that the community was ready to take ownership strengthened by their shared experiences. They would be the champions of change. Months rolled into a transformative journey where issues interwoven with tradition met innovative solutions inspired by younger generations. They launched a local cooperative that involved fishermen supporting sustainable practices while preserving traditional knowledge. The project drew attention and support, creating a platform for the community to regain pride in their heritage through sustainable fishing. As the new year approached, John reflected on his life in Cebu and the tremendous growth he had experienced, both as an individual and as part of a community. The initial loneliness and longing for understanding had given way to collaboration, dialogue, and a deeper appreciation for the complex fabric of culture and identity. The question of belonging had long ceased to haunt him. Instead, he felt firmly entrenched in the community he had come to love. As they prepared to celebrate the new year together, John organized a big event with Lila that showcased their progress, involving joyful performances, traditional meals, and heartfelt storytelling. It would honor the elders for their wisdom while spotlighting the vibrant energy of the youth and opportunity to celebrate their collective journey. On the night of the celebration, as fireworks illuminated the sky and laughter filled the air, John stood among friends and family. Savoring the moment, he felt a sense of belonging envelop him like a warm embrace. He had become more than an outsider. He was part of a living, breathing story, a testament to the power of connection, dialogue, and the shared determination to create a better future together. As the night wore on and the celebrations continued, John contemplated the journey ahead. What more could they achieve? What other lessons awaited him? He marveled at the unpredictable twists life had thrown his way. Still, one thing was certain. Every sunrise held the promise of new adventures, new relationships, and a deeper understanding of the beautiful tapestry that formed the essence of Cebu. With his heart full and eyes fixed on the horizon, John was ready to embrace whatever unfolded next in this remarkable chapter of his life.